there was another scene when the father and the son, remember they found that old abandoned train in the woods, and the father went off to explore the train, and he leaves the boy behind for safety's sake. And then he hands the pistol to the boy. And like I said, this is just one of those little scenes. If you just read over it and you can skip past it and glance over it. And I think McCarthy, it would be a disservice to skip past. I think he builds up these little scenes to where they have lots of meaning, and this is one of those little scenes that I think has a lot of meaning to it. So the father leaves the boy, says, stay over here, I'm going to go check out the train. And he hands the pistol to the boy. And the boy takes the pistol. Remember, there was a scene earlier, I think it was in our second episode, maybe even our first episode on the road. He handed the gun to the boy, and the boy didn't want to take it. He said, I don't want the responsibility of handling this. And the father says, I didn't ask you what you wanted. I'm telling you to take this gun, for protection. And he kind of had to force it on the boy. Well, this time, he hands the boy the gun, and the boy takes it. And he sits with it in his lap as the man goes and explores the train. And the father sees that the train is safe. There's no danger there, and he waves the boy over. And the boy rose up, and he put the pistol in his belt. And he just stood up like a man and put the pistol in his belt like it was second nature, like he was more comfortable with it now, and then walks over to his dad. He'd seen his father do this, and he's mimicking the behavior of his father. And he's not afraid of the gun anymore. And he's not afraid of becoming a man. And I think those little scenes where, McCarthy, we talked about, he handed him the gun, and the father handed the boy the gun, and the boy didn't want it. It's almost kind of like he's just not ready to take on the responsibility of manhood at that point. But at this point here, toward the end of the story, the boy is more comfortable taking on those responsibilities of being an adult, and he's learned from his father and what of who a man is and what a man does. And I think that's what makes the difference between a boy and a man, and a girl and a woman, and just a child and an adult. Immaturity and maturity is the ability to take on, the willingness to take on responsibilities of life, right. and then the capability of meeting those responsibilities. The boy, it's just these little things that the father has done throughout the story, and now the boy is mimicking them. And he's just these little things that show the boy is becoming a man. He's doing what his father does. And I just think little things like that's a lot of those little scenes that McCarthy puts in there. They're little scenes, but I think they communicate a whole lot. And don't you think that that's what being an adult is all about? It's acknowledging the responsibilities that reality demands of you, and you being willing to meet those responsibilities. What do you think about that?
I think so too, because it's the difference, like you said, between having it pushed upon you. I mean, you're an adult now, gun is in your hand, you've got to do this, versus just taking it willingly. And that's the difference between someone who maybe has reached the age of adulthood and actually being a man or being a woman. And I think this boy is on the way to learning that.
Yes, and I think that's a testament to the father and a testament to the boy. The father is doing his job. He's setting a good example. And that's what a father does. That's what a mother does. A father shows his boy, his sons and his daughters, how an adult is supposed to act. And he does that in a masculine way. And a mother shows her sons and her daughters how an adult is supposed to act. And she does that in her feminine way. And I think, children, both boys and girls, they learn a lot from the masculinity of their fathers. They learn a lot from the femininity of their mothers. And I think that this goes to show that the little things that parents do that really you repeat these, you meet these responsibilities, and it's almost like it kind of subliminally sinks into your children's psyche, and they say, this is the way to do it. And I think it's little things like that as parents that really have a lasting impact. It's very rarely just one big dramatic event. It's a bunch of little things over the course of time, and that's why it's so hard. That's why it's so important to set a good example all the time, every day as a parent. That should be the goal anyway. Now, obviously, we stumble and fall from time to time, but and there's a lesson in that too. You show your children when you do mess up how to clean up your mess and move forward and make it right. And I think the father here does a good job of that in this story.
And I like what you're saying. It's not just what the father tells him, because I think the father does talk to him about how to be a good person, but it's much more about what he does and the decisions he makes, and the boy watching the father.
Right. Exactly.
You know, I really like that scene where they're in the house and they find the food and it's sealed up so tight and he can't get the jars open or the cans open, and he sort of McCarthy goes through the description of how he gets it between the door and holds the lid in place. And I just thought it was interesting, just the detail of how he's surviving. But I mean, you also know the boy is watching that he's learning how to do practical things as well as how to make decisions.
Right.
And it reminded me too of that scene in the beginning where he's watching him fix the wheel of the cart.
I was just about to say that, and see, there are those little scenes where it's describing the man doing something practical, like you said, and the boy sitting there studying, and you know, watching him do it. You know, and parents, we mentioned that in the first episode. We'll mention it again here. Kids are always watching. You know, they're always watching you, and that's why it's on you to make sure you set a good example.